is here in Lagos are waiting to join me now for Trending Now. Olamide, I know one of those materials would look beautiful on you.
Thank you very much, Veronica. Not as beautiful as it would look on you. Good morning, guys. How are you doing today?
Very well, thank you.
Veronica, I see that you and I are matching.
Yes. You were that mosquito that was singing in my ear this morning.
Veronica and mosquitoes.
You clearly planned this. You clearly planned this. It's time for trending.
I think I also gel with you guys because I'm wearing
a red
tie. So don't take me out.
Ibrahim, you didn't join us in this encore, unfortunately.
Oh, he's wearing a white shirt, right?
Okay. It is time for Trending Now. As usual, TVC has a finger on the pulse. And if it's trending, we are definitely going to be talking about it. For our first story, as you know, Beatrice Ekweremadu, the wife of former Deputy Senate President Ike Ekweremadu, has reportedly been released from a UK prison and is currently in the Federal Capital Territory. She was convicted in March 2023 for organ trafficking, and she was sentenced to 4 years and 6 months, while her husband received 9 years and 8 months in prison. Her early return has, of course, raised questions, as she has not yet completed her sentence. Now, details surrounding her release remain unclear, fueling speculation of a possible pardon. In Enugu, her home state, her return is actually being celebrated, and this has seen mixed reactions online. Let's take a look at some tweets. This is Mrs. Ekweremadu returning back. Mfom Abia says, she served her term and came back alive. She has learned lessons and will educate others. It's time to move on. OMJ says, possibly it's on good behavior through enhanced remission. Whatever the case, I'm pleased for her and her family, and I wish that similar gesture be extended to Dr. Ike Ekweremadu. The courts will decide. The court has already decided, actually, and that is... Odinala says, poverty is bad. These women celebrating the return of Ekweremadu's wife are hoping for a bag of rice and groundnut oil. Fear poverty. Her return is good for moral lessons, not ceremonial show. IK says, there's the parole system, good time done, and so many other ways you don't have to finish your sentence. Don't start a conspiracy now. We'll see how this plays out. She is back home now, and she is yet to do any media interviews or any media rounds. In our next story, a 43-year-old man identified as Sunday Ozimede has been arraigned before the Federal High Court in Lagos for allegedly hacking into Moneypoint Microfinance's bank's vault and stealing a staggering 1.1 billion naira. Now, according to court documents, Ozimede is accused of diverting customers' funds across multiple transactions to various bank accounts. He faces charges of conspiracy, cyber fraud, and obtaining money under false pretenses. Now, despite the gravity of these allegations, he was granted bail in the sum of 50 million naira. The trial has been adjourned to March 13th, 2025. Meanwhile, Nigerians are questioning the lack of media coverage on the case, and many have expressed surprise that is not making major headlines, except here on TVC, of course, because we're constantly on the pulse. We are going to take some tweets now. Empathy says, all right, this is enough. Can we talk about this Moneypoint hack that flew under the radar yesterday? We're not just talking small change here. We're looking at a whopping 1.1 billion naira stolen. The hacker's been caught, sure, but doesn't this raise some serious questions about the security of our funds? Valid question, Empathy. We'll take another tweet, please. Jagun Lion says, Omo, why has there been so little transparency from Moneypoint about the 1.1 billion naira hack? Customers' trust is on the line, and that trust is very, very thin when it comes to banks and Nigerian customers. Obarth says, all that daily security messages from Moneypoint, yet a whopping 1.1 billion naira was hacked. What's the use of all that disturbing security messages if you can't keep our money safe? This is a very, very tricky one. And I think organizations like banks would really benefit from being transparent when things like this happen, when scandals like this happen, coming out to the public and talking to us and keeping us in the loop. Otherwise, it looks like they're not trying to be transparent. And the fickle trust that we already have for them now hangs in the balance and is tried. But I'm curious to hear what you guys think about this, Ibrahim and Veronica. 1.1 billion naira, that's a staggering sum.
Absolutely. So one thing I know is that, just like you said, you read that people were saying that Nigerian media are not covering the story. Of course, some of the stories are there, they're out there, you just read it out, and we always monitor the stories. But it doesn't mean that people don't talk about it. But one thing I know for sure is that the customers' money or monies are safe to a very large extent, because most of these banks, fintechs precisely, and even conventional banks, they have been insured by the NDIC, that's Nigerian Deposit Insurance Company. So even the big banks, banks of this world, have had their system hacked into and money stolen from it. But the thing is, they should up their games in terms of cybersecurity so that we don't have these thieves taking our money. We've heard of some people like Momfa, Hush Puppy, etc. Who biggest heist of this world.
Interesting. But as much as they are insured by the NDIC, they need to invest in securing people's funds, because that's the essence why people kept their money with them in the first place. So if hackers are on the prowl, you should go a step further to ensure that monies are safe. But let's talk about Beatrice Ekweremadu for a bit. She has returned. There are reports saying she was back 3 months ago, that she did not just return, and there are those celebrating her return. Of course, her people want to celebrate her and also see that she has returned. And there are those questioning, as she was sentenced to, I think, 4 years, how is it that she is back so quickly? Well, we do not understand the mathematics behind all of this, but she is here now. I think the lessons have been learned for them, desperation and all of it. They would now need to begin to pick the pieces of their lives to see how they can move on from here. We're not saying people shouldn't celebrate her return, but the lessons there are we should understand the gravity of the case, and also know how to celebrate these kinds of people, know how to situate them in the society, because they wield some level of influence. So if we are celebrating these kinds of persons, then what kind of message are we sending? I'm not saying don't celebrate, but I'm saying we should learn the lessons and know how we manage this.
Olamide and Veronica, do you notice that no one is tweeting, she's the court has been bribed or anything? Someone is talking about parole. Maybe she's granted parole and all of that. Because they
have trust in the legal system over there. They have complete and absolute trust in the judiciary.
Yeah, if it had happened in Nigeria, it doesn't mean that they've been bribed. What is this parole? What is this pardon?
We knew what happened in the course of the case last year, even when former President Olusegun Obasanjo sent a letter talking about, tampering, mercy and all of those. The court went ahead to say that we'll do what is needful as it is. There is a case before us and justice must take its course, and that's what we are seeing. So the essence is that in Nigeria, we need to begin to look critically at our justice system to know what we need to do such that nobody is above the law. The law must take its course. Justice must be seen to be done beyond just being done.
And I'm curious, do you guys think that when a pillar of society, somebody who has contributed greatly to society, at least in their own capacity, commits a crime, that negates everything that they've done? She must have been a source of hope to these women at some point, regardless of her shortcomings as the Senate President's wife.
That's right.
What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, so
you think it negates everything she's ever done?
It's a similar situation, with the estranged on his wife, and then the honor personality who tried to alleviate the suffering of people within the environs and some other places, but then led to that incident. People try to do things, genuinely, but some way it turned the other way. But we just pray that anything we want to do, we have God's backing. And
Thank you so much, Ibrahim. In our next story, somebody on Twitter said this year is for EFCC. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission is facing another internal scandal as an officer in charge of the Kaduna Zonal Office's exhibit room has allegedly disappeared with over $30,000 and other valuable exhibits. Now, the officer, identified only as Polycarp, reportedly vanished after being informed of an upcoming audit ordered by the zonal director, Benedict Ubi. Sources are saying that he excused himself to use the restroom and never returned. Now, this incident comes just weeks after a similar internal theft in the Commission's Lagos office. Now, the EFCC has since launched a manhunt to locate the fleeing officer. I find it very, very interesting that the ex-AMCON Managing Director, Ahmed Kuru, and even Sir Oba Otudeko have been arraigned publicly and their faces plastered on the media. But when it comes to their own personnel, they are a bit reluctant. I have to ask that question why. We're going to take some tweets concerning this topic now. Velele says, is stealing $30,000 not a financial crime? What am I missing? Will that officer not go and buy a keyless Benz and find suits on $400,000 a month salary? Mazi Mom says, it's not just about one rogue staff member. It's about an institutional failure to ensure that those in charge of safeguarding public resources are themselves above reproach. Iriabo Ozemoya says, you see the issue I have? Their staff who is accused gets the benefit of not being named in full, but mere suspects who are more often innocent than not gets named in full with their pictures plastered everywhere. Oof, do we have another tweet for that? Wanshe Bolatan says, EFCC needs to be overhauled. They need to clean themselves first. You can't throw stones if you live in a glass house. I'm very curious to hear what you guys think about this, Ibrahim and Veronica. It feels like every day this week we've spoken about EFCC.
I believe that he did not carry out this, this act alone because it's too huge a sum for a single person to have, carried out or done. So the EFCC needs to investigate this matter critically because what am I going to say now? The confidence reposed on them, that's the word that I was looking for, is now hanging in the balance. People are saying, you are saying you're tracking people who steal monies. Now within your walls, there are people stealing money. Something has to be done. Something is not right here. I will not call it an institutional failure. It's just that there are some bad eggs within the institution that have to be weeded out. So they have to weed these persons out to ensure that the confidence reposed on them is still there. So it's important that the EFCC does its homework to addressing this matter as quickly as possible.
I agree with you 100% because if you're trying to sanitize, fight corruption, ensure that, yes, the country is rid of bad eggs and people who are stealing people's property, national cake and all of that, then you have to sanitize yourself, you have to wash yourself clean and make Nigeria see you as accountable and up to the task. But we can't, we should cut them some slack. We know that these people are not, they are humans and definitely will still have black legs, bad eggs among them, but they have to do a lot. But I believe that this current dispensation under Olukoyede, they're really doing a lot because we're hearing stories.
We wait for the EFCC to respond on this. They're yet to put out a statement. In international news, President Donald Trump has revoked Executive Order 11246, a law first introduced in 1965 by President Lyndon B. Johnson to prevent job discrimination by federal contractors based on race, gender, color, religion, or even national origin. Now, with this decision, the President of the United States of America has ordered the removal of diversity, equity, and inclusion programs across government agencies. Many DEI staff have been placed on leave, and layoffs are expected to happen soon, perhaps. He also urged private companies to stop DEI policies, warning of possible legal actions if they do not comply. Now, supporters say that this change will bring back fairness based on merit, while others are rightfully worried that it could harm workplace diversity and inclusion efforts. We're going to take some tweets concerning this now. Leatherwood says he's going to be in court quite a bit because these executive orders will be challenged. You cannot executive order your way through your presidency. I simply hope that the court do their job and protect the people this time. Trizzy Digital says, I love how no one realized that Trump getting rid of the 1965 EEO Act for positions at the federal level has nothing to do with the 1972 EEO Act, which basically doubles down and protects the average American citizen per state laws. He can never undo that. We'll take another tweet, please. Kagome says, I already foresee this EEO stuff backfiring. racists are already running their victory laps, but the EEO Act of 1972 is still codified into law and can't be repealed. They still can be sued and held accountable for discrimination. I think the question that we need to be asking here is that if federal mandates for inclusion and diversity are not in place, will private companies and even public companies still uphold those laws of inclusion and equity and non-biases? Or with this repeal that Trump is trying to invoke, will it cause more bias and more division? What do you guys think about this?
Interesting. Well, to quote what the Nobel Peace Prize winner says, Maria Ressa says, Trump's presidency is a hop, skip, and a jump away. By the time Trump is done with the US, we'll see what is happening, because I do not understand why you have to, revoke this, because it's just for us to see that there's that quality representation. But then, Make America Great Again, a lot of people have been saying is a racist, slogan.
We do not have much time. We have to leave this conversation now, but we just hope to see where this leads the US at the end of the day. Thank you, Olamide, for all of those stories.
Thank you.
But let's let you know that the views and reactions of all our research persons are theirs and have no connection with TVC News. Up next is Your View with the Ladies, and afterwards is This Morning with Yori Folarin. Do stay safe. Bye for now.